Hello, welcome to More Yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I just realized that hand wave was like a really good wrist releaser. So I don't know, maybe you want to do some of this. Shake out the wrists a lot. You can even do some of these. Sometimes as when we're bearing weight on our hands, we get really tight on the wrists. So listen up, pretty good. Anyway, as I say, I hope you're doing well. Today, I thought we would use a pillow. So if you have something, I just took this throw pillow from the sofa, or you could use a pillow from your bed, whatever works for you. That's a really great thing to have today. So if you need to pause and run and get a pillow and then come back, feel free to do that. And then as always, any kind of blocks can be really useful too. If you don't have blocks, you could get two pillows and then you can stack them. And if you don't, not a big deal. So we're going to start laying down. We're going to get a nice release through the chest and the shoulders. You know, we're all bearing a lot of tension through those areas these days. So we've done this before. You have to build kind of like a little support system. Now, if you don't have blocks, just put your pillow down and lie back on it. Make sure your head is supported. If you have two pillows, great, it gives you a little bit more lift. Otherwise, you can build something with your yoga blocks like I'm about to do. And it being something like this, you want to make sure your low back is supported. This pillow is actually a little bit short. I would be used to doing this with like a bolster. So I'm going to turn it diagonally so that my head will still have a little bit of support and my low back. And then spin around and then lie back. Now, you probably have the luxury of having your lights down low. I've got my lights up bright so you can see what I'm doing. So it's not maybe quite as relaxing an atmosphere as you will have. But that's the cool thing about yoga is the more you practice being able to settle and to relax, the more you can do it in any situation. So find a comfortable spot. You can have your knees bent, feet on the floor. You can take a butterfly position. Soles of the feet, knees wide, or soles of the feet together, knees wide. You could extend the legs. I don't have quite enough low back support, so I'm going to keep my knees bent and have them hanging in toward each other. And that just helps give a little bit of support for the low back. And then for a few breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh. Your breath away. Couple more. And continue breathing however you need to, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. Start to observe your breath. Notice how it's flowing, how it feels. Depending on how much lift you've got, you might feel a little bit more open here. So we're not collapsing through the chest. The ribs have a little bit more space to move. And so the lungs have a little bit more space to move. And at any point, if you feel like you need to adjust your position, then feel free to adjust, right? Making sure that you're comfortable and at ease wherever you are. Last few breaths here. And slowly start to bring your focus back to your body. You can bring a little movement back, whatever you need to start to wake up. You probably thought I'd fallen asleep there. And then roll to one side. Enough that you can remove anything that was underneath you out to the side. And then come back onto your back. Okay, so now it might feel a little bit like you're falling through the floor after all that lift and a little bit of spinal extension. Now we're just back to neutral. And then start to hug your knees into your chest and take a little rock from side to side. You can massage out the base of the spine, the pelvis, whatever feels good here. And then bring your feet to the floor, hip width apart, parallel-ish, close enough into your bum that you can tickle your heels with your fingertips so that we're setting up in a nice position for bridge, right? Really strong position. And then on your inhale, press your feet, or particularly your heels, into the earth to lift your pelvis and your spine up and away. And as you exhale, slowly lower back down. So a few more of these on your own time, playing with lifting the hips and the spine and lowering them. And you might really kind of serpentine the spine, or you can just come up and down, whatever feels best for you here. The next time that you lift up, pause there. You might squeeze the bum and lift the hips a little bit higher. You could walk onto the outside edge of the shoulders. Arms could extend, or you might clasp your hands behind your back. Whatever feels best for you here. You could even do robot arms. Last couple breaths. And then slowly lower it back down. A little wiggle from side to side. In fact, take your feet mat width apart and allow your knees to windshield wiper from side to side. And the next time your knees both fall over to the left, pause there. This is a lovely place to stay. Getting a little bit of release maybe through the top of that right hip. If you want more, you could cross your left ankle over top of the right thigh. Maybe you keep that really loose and passive, or you could squeeze the bum on the right side to really lift the hip and get kind of an arch through the spine. You could reach that right arm back up to the right, maybe look along it. Last breath here. And then gently unhook your heel if it's over top and come back to center. Again, little windshield wiper just to release the hips. And then send both knees over to the right. And you might just stay here, reaching that left arm back up into the left. You might choose to hook the right ankle over top of the left thigh. And you can just let that hang, or you might squeeze the bum on that left side to lift a little bit higher to pretty active release through the front of the hip, while also getting a nice rotation through the spine. And then slowly unhook the heel. Inhale, come back to center. Hug both knees into your chest. And from here, you might start to rock and roll up and down your spine, shoulder blades to sit bones if you want. Maybe you roll to one side and then press yourself up, but we'll meet on hands and knees. So setting up with your knees underneath your hips, toes can be tucked or untucked, and you have the pillow. If you want to, you could, or if you have a pillow, you could kneel up on it. This gives a little bit of cushioning for the knees, but it also changes your angle. Right? We get used to the ratio of our arm length to our femur length, and I don't know, you can play with it a little bit if you want. And then inhale, lift the tailbone, hollow through the lower back, broaden through the collarbones. Exhale, round through the spine, tuck the tailbone. Inhale into cow. Exhale, round into cat. Couple more of these undulations. And as always, if there's any other natural movement that you want to take, feel free to move how you need to move here. And then slowly come back to center. If you have the pillow or a bolster underneath your knees, take it off to one side. And then find your center. Again, tuck your toes and then walk your hands forward slightly and then send your hips back toward your heels. Now you might need to adjust your length here, or your stance, depending on how long the arms are. So we're kind of going into like puppy dog pose, or sometimes this is called melting heart. You start to release the forehead toward the floor. It might not touch. Arms stay really active though the whole time. And if you need more length, then scooch the knees back or walk the hands forward. And you might spend a couple breaths. If the forehead touches the floor with it on the earth, you might spend a couple breaths with it hovering and see how that changes the activation. Right? Our heads are heavy, so it takes quite a bit more work. And then slowly come back up. Walk your hands back underneath you. Little wiggle, little shake. Okay. And then come onto your right knee. Step your left leg back behind you. Keep the toes to the floor to start with. And then cross your left leg behind the right. From here, walk your upper body forward and also over to the right. So you're getting one really long line through the left side of the body. You could stay up on your fingertips. You could come down to your forearms. You could do one of each. And then slowly, carefully, make your way back to hands and knees. Little wiggle or shake, and then we'll switch to the opposite side. So step the right leg behind you, and then cross it over to the left. Walk your upper body, your arms forward, and also over to the left. And again, you might stay up high, you might come down low. But the idea is to get that long line through the right side of the body, from pinky finger to heel. This gets into your lats, multifidus, QL, obliques. And then slowly, carefully press yourself back up. Hands and knees, little wiggle or shake. And then just step to the top edge of your mat into your standing forward fold. Knees bent if you wish. You could sway a little bit from side to side. Maybe you clasp opposite elbows with hands. Nod your head yes. Shake your head no. Let your head hang heavy, neck long. Think crown of the head heading towards the floor. So you're probably looking between your legs rather than at your mat or at the earth. If your arms are crossed, take the opposite crossing. Last couple breaths here. And then release your hands with fingertips to your shins or the earth. Or if you have blocks, you can use blocks. Inhale, a little partway lift. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more with your own breath. Inhale, little lift. Exhale, let it go. And when you're back down, bend your knees a little bit. Tuck your tailbone under, and then slowly start to roll up to standing. Think arms heavy, crown of the head heavy, so that you're looking down the entire time until eventually the head has to lift. Little loop of your shoulders, up, back, and down. Little wiggle or shake out. Awesome. Okay, let's bring our hands to the low back. Low back is a really gentle place to start. If you want a little bit more support, though, you could bring your hands a little bit lower down. So your fingertips are probably on your bum, but the heels of your hands are really resting into the hip bones, right? At the back. Little bend in the knees. Excuse me. Belly button to spine. Squeeze your bum. Wrap your shoulder blades toward each other, elbows toward each other, and then just start to lift the heart up to the sky. You don't have to go super far. Even just standing straight here with the little lift of the heart is enough of a back bend. If you would like to go further, bend your knees a little bit more. Really squeeze your bum and think of pressing your hips forward. Think of lifting up to go back. Keep breathing, although it sometimes does help to kind of hold the inhale, but not for so long that you pass out, obviously. And then slowly come back up to center. Shake it out a little bit, little wiggle, and release. Awesome. All right. Bring your feet a little bit wider and turn your toes out. And then on your inhale, sit down into a wide squat. So we're not going to go super down low, but when you squat, you don't want the knees to come forward as the body stays upright. So think of sending the hips back and send the knees back to the baby toe edges of the feet, right? You can even bring your hands to the tops of the thighs and press the knees back a little bit and then wrap the shoulders onto the back. You could wiggle a little bit from side to side. You could do this twist thing, which feels quite nice into the adductors. Actually, let's just all do that. Dip the left shoulder forward, twist toward the right. You can feel that probably through the left adductors, the groin, and then come back to center, and then we'll go the opposite side. And then back to center. Last couple breaths here. And stand all the way up. Shake it out a little bit, little wiggle, and then come to the top edge of your mat. You're probably already there, unless you turned to the wide edge of the mat for that. Send all the weight to your right foot. Little buoyancy on that supporting knee. Pick up the left knee, and then as slowly as you can, start to reach the left leg back. And then inhale, come back up. And then exhale, reach. And inhale back up. Make sure the right knee is bent a little bit as you do this. And back up. Last one. Okay, pause here. Keep that left knee bent. Keep the right knee bent. Wrap the outer right hip back slightly. And then bring your arms to cactus for a little bit more stability. Inhale here. Stay here if you'd like to, or exhale. A little twist of the upper body to the right. Inhale back to center. Exhale to the left. And back to center. Once more each side. Single point of focus for the eyes can really help here. And then inhale, bring that lifted knee all the way forward and through. And exhale, step it down. Release the glutes on the right side. If you're not feeling that burn, don't worry about it. Sometimes it just takes practice to get those muscles firing, right? And it's, as I said, it's just practice. So let's try the opposite side. Weight goes to the left foot. Little buoyancy on that supporting knee. Pick up the right knee. And as slowly as you can, start to reach the right leg back. The upper body will tilt forward. And then draw it back forward. And then reach back, bending that supporting knee, otherwise your glutes aren't working. And back up. And if the glutes aren't working, you're not getting as much strength, as stability as you could. And back up. And reach. And then pause here. Keep that right knee bent, left knee bent. Arms to cactus, wrap the outer left hip forward. Inhale here. Exhale, twist to the left. Back to center. And right. And then center. And left. And center. And right. And center. And then belly bend to spine. Draw that lifted knee all the way forward and through. And exhale, step it down. Shake it out a little bit. Little release. Whew. Okay. Send the weight back to the right leg. So a little bit more balancing, but also mixed in with a little hip release. Bend that supporting knee. Pick up the left leg. Cross the left ankle over top of the right thigh. Now sit your hips down and back, right? So nice bend on that right knee. Hips back. And you're probably feeling it in the glutes on that left side. You might just stay here, maybe hands in prayer. Try not to round forward. Wrap the shoulder blades onto the back. Some of you might be able to fold a little bit deeper or reach for the floor. Go wherever you would like to go. I'm getting a lot of benefit just out of this stretch. Now the right hip will want to sneak forward, wrap it back, and then send both sit bones further back. Last breath. And then inhale, slowly come back up, unwind the legs. Whew, shake them out a little bit. And then we'll switch sides. Weight goes back over to the left. Buoyancy on that supporting knee. Pick up the right leg and cross the ankle over top of the left thigh. Bend the supporting knee. Send the hips back. And you might stay here. And you might choose to come forward a little bit. So long as you're not really just rounding through the spine, because as soon as you round, you lose a lot of the stretch through the glutes. The more you send your hips back, the more you bend into that supporting knee, the deeper you will get a stretch on the right side. Last couple breaths here. And then inhale. Come all the way up. Shake out the legs. A little noodle, little release. And then we'll switch or come back to standing. Inhale, your arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, a little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, plant your hands, and step back to hands and knees. Little wiggle, little shake, and then swing to your hips on one side. Bring your legs forward. So we're seated. Shake out the legs a little bit. Little windshield wiper of the knees. Now this is going to be a very similar stretch to what we were just doing standing, but you'll actually be able to sort of get a bit deeper into it because you're not having to work on the balance. So bring your right shin forward, left shin out to the side. As always, if you would prefer to work pigeon prep, then you're welcome to sweep that left leg back behind you and go where you'd like to go. Otherwise, stay here with me. I like this because the one leg is an internal rotation, the other leg is an external rotation or at the hip. And that is something that we don't do all that often, the internal rotation. So go where you'd like to go. And then get curious. Maybe you come forward over top of the shin. Maybe you come sideways. If you have your pillow, you can hug it. Just find a stretch that feels delightful, delicious for you. And at any point, if you feel pain, then you've gone too far. Last couple breaths here. And then slowly press yourself back up to center. Swing your left leg forward. Shake out the legs a little bit. We'll go right away to the opposite side. So folding your left shin. Right shin goes out to the side. Ooh, sometimes you might get your hip cramping. Like, I just did it again. Um, go where you need to go. So if you need to go into pigeon prep, then sweep the right leg back behind you. That's one thing about internal rotation, when we do it so little that your hip can cramp when you get into it, because the body's not used to doing it. Maybe you come over top of the shin, over top of the thigh. You can use the pillow if you want, or prop a block underneath your forehead. And then start to exhale and release deeper into the stretch. I know often when I say release, people come out of their poses, so I should try not to say that. Sink deeper into the pose. And I mentioned, I said if you feel pain, then you've gone too far. What that means is back out of it. And pain is like hot, sharp, shooting, electric, or like a flooding sort of sensation. Discomfort or tension, those are both good things. Last couple of breaths here. And then on your inhale, slowly press yourself back up. Swing the right leg forward. Shake out the legs. And then think about where you would like to go for your rest. You could end the same way we began, with the pillow set up or prop set up. Another variation that I didn't show is if you have blocks, you could set them up in a line and then put a pillow either diagonally or, depending on how long it is, over top, and then just lie back on them. If you don't want to lie back on anything, then go where you would like to go. You could be in child's pose. You could rest on your side or in a seated meditation. And once you've found your pose of rest, for a few breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath. A couple more. And let go of your breath control, so return to your natural breath. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. And stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.